Greetings, fellow gorehounds, and welcome back to a Blood Splattered vlog. I'm the Horror Guru.
And I'm Count Jackula, see?
And today we are talking about Nightmare Alley, the latest film directed by Guillermo del Toro. And for those of you who don't know, Nightmare Alley is a remake of the 1940s film noir Nightmare Alley, which in turn was an adaptation of a book also called Nightmare Alley. So in a way, this film is kind of a second adaptation as well as a remake. But there's enough of this movie that kind of evokes scenes that were specific to the original movie to where you could say it's also a remake. It's not just a readaptation, it's both. We're not really going to talk about the original movie. We're going to talk about this movie because this is 100% a Guillermo del Toro movie, even though it lacks the more overt supernatural elements that kind of makes most
tend to mark a Del Toro picture.
Like this movie is way more grounded in a more visceral reality because it is a film noir. Yeah. And it is a film noir set in the 1940s still, or is it?
I believe it's the 1940s.
Okay,
like it's definitely like
either
that or the 30s, where it's like just like post-depression.
I do recall in the movie there are moments in which there are radio announcing the war. So I think
there you go.
Yeah. Anyway, this movie is fucking phenomenal. This is probably like the only movie we've vlogged the last few weeks that's probably going to get some Oscar or Golden Globe buzz.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Because this movie is just a really fucking well done film from start to finish. It's definitely one of Guillermo del Toro's best. Now, that being said, I think it's also a movie that a lot of people aren't going to appreciate right away because of the things that make it different from other Guillermo del Toro movies.
Yeah, like there's no overtly supernatural element. However, there are a lot of subtextual supernatural elements.
I also think there's a lot of people that are going to go into this movie and think that it is a horror movie when it is first and foremost a film noir. Yeah. It has horror elements, but like Pan's Labyrinth is more of a horror movie than this is.
Yeah. Pan's Labyrinth is way more horror movie than Nightmare Alley.
And that movie was already more of a fairy tale,
Yeah.
So so it might have some. In fact, I've already seen that some people have responded to it the way that some people responded to Crimson Peak, where they thought they were going to get just a straight up ghost story, and instead they got a gothic romance that also has ghosts. Yeah. This movie is great, and you should go in knowing that it's film noir, and that's what it is.
Yeah, and it's film noir in that way that honestly a lot of people don't get. There's an aspect of film noir that a lot of people don't tend to get that clearly Del Toro did.
Oh yeah,
which is they often get really subtextually biblical.
True, because a lot of film noir, especially because of the time they were made, because they were made during the period of time where films kind of had to have like moral lessons all the time. Because of that, a lot of film noir have these, I don't know what to call it other than they feel like they're descents into hell and characters being punished for things.
Yeah, exactly.
In this particular case, this movie is about a grifter. It is about a man who has learned the skills of the grifting trade, in particular, the skills of mediums.
Yeah.
Those low-key televangelist mediums you see on TV all the time who sit there with a crowd and they're like, I'm getting an M. Does anyone in here know someone with an M?
Wasn't even that one guy from like about 10 years back?
There was a guy who was really popular on TV who used to do the same grift.
Yeah.
I forget his name.
Yeah, it was like Eddie Edwards or something.
Was it John Edwards?
I think it was. It might have been John Edwards.
Something like that. Yeah. Anyway, it's a very popular grift that people do where they basically cold read people and they
trick the audience into.
They start vague.
Yeah.
And then when people respond to the vague thing, they start to narrow it down to something specific, and they trick the person into believing that they read the mind or that they had some conversation with someone from beyond that told them this or whatever. When in reality, they were doing a process of elimination game, as well as some basic like surmising, like, hey, that person's wearing a wedding ring, so they're probably married. So figuring stuff like that, basic people reading. And they trick people into believing that they're psychic, you know. This movie's about a character learning that skill at a carnival and then going and taking that skill to becoming really rich and famous, and his downfall after that. This is one of those...
Yeah, because he breaks the cardinal rule that he is taught.
Yeah. It's very much a Shakespearean tragedy in that way, but filmed like a film noir.
Yeah.
You know, like the classic film noir stylings. Everything is filmed like with very dark shadows, and like the contrast is very high up. There's that very particular film noir feel of the way people talk to each other.
Yeah. It's not fucking Shakespeare, but it reminds me a bit of Don Giovanni.
Okay, that's a good comparison.
You know,
100%. And all these things are all elements that are in the original book as well as the original movie. This movie just has some slightly different twists on them depending upon their end. But like the thing that Del Toro really added to this, or at least Del Toro and his screenwriting partner, which I'm pretty sure is his wife. It's wife or girlfriend, but I know that the person that he was writing with, I was reading a thing that like they've been seeing each other for...
okay. All right.
The thing that they really added to this that I don't recall being in the original movie, may have been in the original book, but I never read the original book, so I don't know, is the element that the character is also trying to escape the sins of their past.
Yeah.
There's a past backstory to the character that I don't recall being in the original film. And if it is in the original film, it's not treated the same way.
I haven't seen the original or read the books.
Okay, fair enough.
No clue.
Fair enough. But this movie puts a higher emphasis on that, which makes the whole movie feel like someone who's constantly trying to escape their fate.
Yeah.
Only to run smack dab into their fate.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Very, very, very like Appointment in Samara kind of shit. You
know, there's almost like a Tales from the Crypty element to it too.
Yes.
And that it's very much a just desserts story. This character, by the end of the story, deserves what he gets.
Yep.
You know? So I am kind of telling you that bad things happen to this character, but when we get to the spoiler section, we'll get more specific. But needless to say, this character has a metaphorical descent into his own hell.
Yeah. If you like Cate Blanchett.
Oh, she's great.
Yeah, she basically the entire time she's channeling Lauren Bacall.
Oh yeah,
you know, and you can tell because they got her in that blonde hair. She's smoking. She's got that raspy voice. And
she's the femme fatale.
She is
of the story.
Yeah.
You know, for those of you who don't know, femme fatale was is a trope that originated in film noir. We know it because it's been used in many things, but it originated in film noir, and it basically describes the sexy but dangerous woman who enters the protagonist's life. And sometimes it doesn't have to be a woman, but most often it's a woman.
Almost always, you know, in the movies.
Who enters the character's life. There's always sexual tension between them and the main character, and they convince the character to take whatever the job is. Usually in film noir, they're detectives. In this case, he's a grifter. And that job is going to be the job that's their undoing or unraveling, or there's twists and turns that happen. Like that's the femme fatale, and she's the femme fatale of this movie, and she is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
The main character is played by Bradley Cooper, who most of you probably know as Rocket Raccoon. And he does a great job of playing a character who's sleazy, but is really good at hiding his sleaze.
Yeah.
You know, at the very beginning of the movie, he does a really good job playing this aw shucks kind of persona that, as the movie goes on, becomes clear is a persona, and Bradley Cooper plays that perfectly.
Yes.
There's also like a lot of Guillermo del Toro staples in this movie, like the guy who plays Bobby from Supernatural shows up in one cameo. He's got a really brief cameo. He's in some other Guillermo del Toro movies like Crimson Peak, and he has a great cameo in this. It's awesome.
Yeah, the Ron Perlman.
Oh man, Ron Perlman probably being the closest thing this movie has to like a conscience.
Well, yeah.
Okay, actually, The girlfriend has a conscience.
Yeah. Ron Perlman is kind of like he's like the roustabout boss.
Well, he's the character that like he sees through the bullshit.
Yes.
Before anyone realizes that there's bullshit to be seen.
Yes.
You know, and I kind of like that about him. Yeah, but you're right. That's 100% what he is. I also really like this movie extends a portion of the original movie because a huge chunk of the first act of the original movie is the character going to this carnival and learning how to grift in this very particular way, learning the medium stuff. This movie extends that portion of the thing to about like half of the movie.
Yeah.
But it's some of my favorite parts of the movie, to be honest.
Oh yeah, it's really good.
Because you really get to know everyone at the carnival, and you get to know the ins and outs of the carnival, and you get to watch him as he learns various stages of the grifts and various different types of grifts, and it's just really well done. And on top of that, you get the awesome performance by one Willem Dafoe.
Oh yeah.
Who plays one of the carny leaders. He's not the head of the carnival, but he's one of the heads. Yeah. But more specifically, he's the one that he keeps the geek.
Yep.
Which, for those of you who don't know, a geek in a carnival was essentially someone who was pretending to be a mongoloid, for lack of a better way of putting it.
Yeah,
caveman.
They bite the heads off of chickens. You know?
Yep. And this movie actually shows, because this is actually true to real life. Oftentimes they weren't cavemen, because cavemen don't exist in the modern era.
Yep.
They were usually drunk and desperate people, homeless people that were picked off the streets and given either nothing and just a roof over their heads.
Yeah.
And basically being like, hey, we'll give you a roof. Maybe sometimes we'll throw you some scraps of food, or maybe we'll give you beer to keep you placated. But we're going to beat you, and we're going to treat you like an animal, and we're going to put you in a cage, and you're going to bite the heads off of chickens. That's... Yeah. That's the thing. And he's the keeper of that. And he teaches him some very important life lessons that are very fucked up. He's kind of the first character you meet who you're just kind of like, he's kind of like a devil analog.
Yes. Yeah, there are a few characters
There's
in
a few
this
characters
thing that are like the devil.
For lack of a better way of putting it, it's like he meets the three faces of the devil over the course of this movie. But they're not literally the devil. They're metaphorically the devil. But for the purposes of a fictional story we're watching, there's almost no difference.
Yeah, that's exactly.
The only difference is he doesn't actually pop up with a tail or anything like that.
Exactly. Nothing overtly supernatural happens.
But he's one of three characters that kind of embodies that particular position, and he's the first one that the character encounters.
Yes.
But without getting into spoilers, we'll talk more about that later. But he is great in this movie. Willem Dafoe is great. This is a movie in which Rocket Raccoon goes to a carnival, learns some grifting techniques from the Green Goblin, and then goes and takes a job that becomes his undoing from Hela.
Yeah. Yeah.
To put this
all
into
the while, Hellboy just kind of comes in and out.
Yeah, and Hellboy comes in and out and beats him up sometimes. To put this into superhero terms.
Yeah. It's a good movie.
It's a great movie. It's really fucking good. This movie, the cinematography is great. What I like about this movie is that film noir has a very particular tone and feel. And Guillermo del Toro injects a little bit of himself into it. So this isn't like straight film noir. It's like film noir filtered through Guillermo del Toro's empathy, for lack of a better way of putting it. Because there's an emotional touch to this movie that you can feel in some of Del Toro's best movies, like The Shape of Water or Pan's Labyrinth or The Devil's Backbone, that is in this movie, even though we're following a truly despicable character.
Yeah, because the real sympathy, Del Toro's native sympathy for the carny folk.
Yes.
Shines throughout the whole thing.
I think that's actually an element that he definitely added to the story overall.
I think so. Yeah,
is the sympathy for the carny folk and stuff like that, and also a lack of sympathy for the ones that don't deserve it.
Exactly.
But anyway, this movie's really good. Unfortunately, it's only available in theaters right now, so unless you feel comfortable going to theaters with Omicron going around, I would probably wait to stream it. when it hits a streaming platform. I hate saying that because this movie desperately needs support because it's being crushed at the box office right now.
Yeah.
But I also like we snuck in and saw it at like an early screening and like managed to sneak in when there wasn't much people in.
Yeah, there were like only like 2 or 3 other people in the whole theater.
There was that one angry guy who was yelling at everything.
Oh my god!
Okay,
yeah.
I want to talk about this. When the guy was sitting there yelling at the shitty ads before the movie, that was hilarious because he was yelling at like the Coke commercials and all that stuff.
Right.
But then he started shitting on every movie trailer, and then that started to annoy me.
Yeah.
Because it was that vibe of like, do you like any of these? Because some of these trailers are really good. Like one of the trailers was Everything All at Once.
Yeah.
And that movie looks amazing. And he was just, and the old man was just like, oh, what is this bullshit or whatever. I'm just like, oh, come on, man.
Yeah.
I was with you on the Coke commercial. I was with you on the fucking crypto commercial. But what?
Oh my god,
crypto. But what's wrong with the Michelle Yeoh movie? You know?
Yeah. Like, I don't know. Maybe it was an NFT, but I have no fucking.
I do kind of want to see that one movie we saw a trailer for that's about the shoemaker. The guy who's like a shoemaker and he's like
the outfit?
Oh, yeah. And he gets caught up with that mob.
Yeah.
Oh, tailor. He's a tailor. Yeah. I kind of want to see that movie. That movie also looks like a film noir, which is probably why it was shown before this. And I'm like, I kind of want to see that movie.
That one actually looks pretty good.
Yeah. I kind of want to see that one. Anyway, that's the trailers. Yeah, I like this movie. This is a Guillermo del Toro masterpiece. I think it will please people who both have never seen the original movie and people who have seen the original movie because it's just a good remake. Yeah. You know? It's kind of like Scorsese's Cape Fear. There's enough of Scorsese in that movie
exactly.
to make it its own thing. And it's as good, if not better, than the original Cape Fear.
I would agree, yeah.
You know? And that's kind of how I felt about this. All right, I am going to insert this earlier into the vlog because I forgot to mention it early on, but there is dead animals in this movie. In particular, you actually get to see like chickens getting their heads bit off. So
right.
So
yeah, right. Of course.
I'm warning you about that before you go in. That like you actually get to see some graphic animal death. They're not real animals, but they're fictionalized in a way that you get to see. So.
Yeah. It's really good special effects. So
100%.
You know.
No actual chickens were harmed during the making of this movie, but
although it looks like it.
It looks like it. It's really fucking good. Yeah. It's a Del Toro movie. The effects are phenomenal.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think I'm starting to think actually, you know what? I'm starting to think that Ron Perlman's is a Del Toro effect. You know?
The more you
like
know.
Every time whenever you see him in person, that's actually like it's actually a guy in a costume.
I think you're onto something.
You don't, yeah. Because how else can one man be that cool?
Does that make Beauty and the Beast the trial run?
Yes.
And with that said, let's move on to the spoilers.
Okay. So, the guy is told very early on that there's a line you don't cross with this act.
Yeah.
They call it the spook show. They're like, don't do the spook show. That means whatever you do not try to convince people that this is real outside of the confines of the act itself.
Yeah. There is the difference between putting on the magic act, right? Like with the illusion and all that stuff and like that, and actually trying to convince someone you can go to their house and resurrect their daughter from the dead.
Yeah.
You know, big difference. Like, and the reason is given is that the spook show, not only will you be hurting the person in the audience, because yeah, you're going to be grifting them out of their money out of their show. But at the end of the day, telling someone that like your dad loved you or whatever, and then they go home and they feel happy, relatively harmless overall. But leading someone on for months and months, and then like putting on all these fakeries and all that stuff, like you could do some real harm to someone. Yeah. Especially when they're in a really vulnerable place. And also, you cross like you. Obviously, if you're a con artist, you're already crossing ethical lines. But there's like an ethical line that you're crossing that you shouldn't cross. Like it's
yeah. You're for lack of better way of putting it. Now you're playing with fire.
And the second reason they don't want you to do it is because it also can go to your head. You can start to believe your own bullshit. You can con yourself into thinking that you're better than you are, or that maybe you can convince yourself you actually are psychic, you know?
Yeah. And now you're fucked.
And that's when you get the ego. And with the ego comes the pride. And with the pride comes the fall, you know?
Yep.
Now, he doesn't go as far as to fully believe his own bullshit.
No, he doesn't believe he has psychic powers, but he believes he can pull all of this off.
Yeah, but he believes he can pull off the impossible and trick someone.
Yeah.
Like, he believes he is smarter than the person that he is trying to con, to the point where he believes he could con them in a way that is above and beyond even his own abilities.
Yeah. To the point where he actually fucking doesn't realize who his real enemy is.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You know?
And so what ends up happening is he starts doing spook shows because they start getting him a lot of money. Basically, you have these rich people that show up and are just like, I need you to come in and I want to talk to my daughter. I want to do this. I want to do that. And so he starts doing those shows, but he starts to add a layer to this grift because he befriends Cate Blanchett's character, who is a therapist.
Yeah, psychiatrist. And she has a lot of rich clients, rich and powerful clients. So she starts, to begin with, giving him the skinny on very particular people so that he can do the grift to them. Yeah.
Now, at the beginning, she pretends like she doesn't want him to be doing this or whatever, but it's very obvious that she's the one who brought the connection to him in the first place.
Yeah, because basically what happens is that she is part of the regular... She is in the audience for one of the regular mentalism acts. Mm-hmm. And she's like, okay, I'm going to reveal that you're a fake, which she almost does.
Yeah.
Like, she comes very,
That's one of
very
the best
close.
scenes in the movie, too, is the back and forth between the two of them. Like, I don't know how else to put this. Like, it's her trying to put him in his place and then him putting her in her place.
Yeah.
And it's a power dynamic scene, but there's also sexual tension there. It's like,
definitely. Definitely. And this act is basically the real start of his undoing, because it turns out this therapist is just like, oh no, I'm gonna crush you.
Because you did this to me, I'm gonna pull a con on you, which is the entire last act of this movie. That's the reveal, is that it all turns out that everything that happens was kind of orchestrated by her. But basically, she convinces him without outright stating to start doing these grifts, and even lets him come in and sneak some of her tapes so that he could do all these or whatever. But eventually this leads to him grifting a truly dangerous person. They don't really tell you exactly how this guy got rich and powerful, but you get strong, like, mob vibes from him.
Yeah, strong mob vibes, and that he is just a murderer.
Yeah, and he's played by the guy who, Richard Jenkins, who played the gay neighbor in The Shape of Water.
Oh yeah, I didn't
playing a completely different character.
Yeah, he's unrecognizable.
But what I like about him in this movie, and this is a masterful fucking performance by Richard Jenkins.
Yeah.
Probably the best performance in the entire movie, because he does this weird combination of playing this kind of, I don't know how else to put it. It's like this weird, empathetic and kind-sounding old man who's terrifying.
Yes.
Like, soft-spoken, but terrifying.
Yeah. Like the entire time, even though he's like he doesn't raise his voice a lot, but like you feel
the menace.
Yeah, you feel like if he wants you dead, you're gonna die.
And basically, he had an ex-girlfriend from back in the day that he convinced to get an abortion, and the abortion killed her.
Yeah.
You know, like a back alley abortion, because this was back like pre-Roe v. Wade, right?
Oh yeah.
It was a back alley abortion. This has obviously haunted him for years. And he wants to talk to his old lover. And he wants the con man played by Bradley Cooper, Stanley, I think is his name.
Yeah.
Stanley. To perform this for him. He wants him to conjure up his girlfriend so that he can talk to her. And, you know, reconnect. Obviously, conjuring up a actual ghost that you can see and talk with is a much larger grift than the usual.
Yes.
I think I hear an M. Does anyone know someone with an M?
Yeah.
It's a much larger grift than the usual just cold reading, you know? And this, of course, proves to be his undoing.
Yep.
You know, and this leads to him doing trying to do the grift and trying to convince his girlfriend, who was a former carny with him, who kind of is become his assistant.
His assistant, yeah.
You know, it's kind of like the magician's assistant, but the medium's assistant.
But he's left her for the most part out of this grift because he's trying to work his thing on Cate Blanchett's character.
Because he's got a thing for her.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where, like, ex-wife is no longer approving of you, so you go to the person who seems a little bit more approving.
Yeah.
You know? But, like, you're sitting there going, like, this is a mistake. She loves you, and she's right. You should stop.
Yeah, not only does she love you and she's right, she's got all the fucking information.
The greed is also getting bad. Like,
yeah.
his greed and wanting more money is also causing his downfall, because there's a point where you're just like, you could live comfortably if you stop right now.
Yeah. Yeah, you might as well.
You know, like your taste is getting too strong. And he convinces his girlfriend to pretend to be the ghost of the dead lover. This goes terribly wrong. It leads to him having to punch out the dude, that powerful dude, and like kill him, and running over the fucking henchman of that guy. So now he's on now he's a potential murder suspect, and he's on the run. And this is when you find out that Cate Blanchett basically orchestrated the entire thing, and is pretending that he is crazy.
Yeah.
And gives him a bag of fake money, or a bag of ones that he thinks are actually the money that he had been saving up, but she actually double crosses him, runs off with the money, and he ends up broke and on the street and in Nightmare Alley. Which what's his name? Willem Dafoe's character explained that's where they get their geeks.
Yep.
Is at Nightmare Alley, which is basically it's basically the shanty town that homeless people live in.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Whatever group of homeless people are hanging out in whatever alley, that's Nightmare Alley.
Like 20 years before this movie, it would have been called Hoovervilles, basically.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
But like that's Nightmare Alley, so he ends up there. And this leads to the glorious ending of the movie, where the last resort he has is to turn to going to a carnival and trying to restart his life at a carnival again. Only for the carny to essentially offer him the job as the geek.
Yep.
And him being like, that's the job I was born for. And crying.
Yeah.
Laughing and then crying. Now, this is a big difference between the original movie and this movie. The original movie goes on a little bit beyond that. This movie ends on him saying that and laughing and crying. And it's this great thing where, like, he had it all. His pride got too big. His desire got too big. He ends up all crumbling, and he ends up not back where he was, but below.
Yeah.
He ends up being the geek in the cage, like from the beginning of the movie. And he kind of gets his just desserts. And to be honest, he kind of deserves it by the end of this movie.
Yeah. One of the great themes about this movie is it very much is. I don't know if this is more the original book or more Del Toro. It could be either.
Yeah.
Where the story really is inspired by the passage from the Bible, and Cain walked off into the land of Nod.
Yeah.
You know, like because there are references to all kinds of like apocryphal biblical entities.
Like Cate Blanchett's character's name is Lilith.
Yeah.
She's one of the devils that he encounters.
That there is a fake monster called Enoch.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep. And of course, the third devil that he encounters over the course of this movie is the guy he's conning. That's the kind of the third devil of the story.
Yeah, the first one would be
Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
He's kind of the first devil.
Yeah.
You know. And what I like, by the end of the movie, you find out that because this movie opens with the main character leaving a burning house after having just dumped a body in it, and you're not quite sure what's going on. Over the course of the movie, you basically find out that he basically let his dad die of pneumonia and then burnt the corpse, left, and then joined the circus. And what I like about that is it kind of reveals that he had been conning people from the get-go. He was even conning the carnies with the all shucks routine at the beginning and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so like this guy was just a lifelong con artist, and he eventually reaches a point where he is humbled.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Humbled at the gates of hell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nightmare
I also like, by the end of the movie, like, the movie almost becomes supernatural.
It almost does.
Because the Cate Blanchett character almost just becomes a flat-out demon. Because he's trying to kill her, and she's just laughing at him.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, film noir did that all the time. Where, like, characters would feel like almost otherworldly. Like there's like this layer of reality that's kind of like peeking through, and it's kind of like the surreal element of the film noir, to where characters are metaphorically the devil, and sometimes they're presented almost as them.
Almost as them.
A great example of that, a great movie that did that perfectly. Angel Heart.
Yes.
Which was another film noir throwback. Did the thing where the character is basically the devil. He's even called Satan, I think, at one point. You know, but they never outright do the supernatural thing, so it's but like, metaphorically, that's who he is.
But all the really great film noirs always have this moment that almost becomes supernatural, and you're just sort of like, what the fuck? You know, like, it's just stuff that dreams are made of.
Yep.
You know? Like...
So it's not overtly supernatural, but there is this, like, supernatural metaphor happening at the center of the movie, which feels very Del Toro, even though, like, like you kind of, it doesn't have the Del Toro, like, Del Toro always has, like, a sequence where there's, like, a monster being dissected.
Oh, yeah,
The closest this gets to is a scene where they're going through all, like, Willem Dafoe's, like, weird, fucked up, like, creatures he keeps and stuff. Like,
yes. You know, the gaffs, the shit in the jars and stuff. Oh,
I like at the very end that he kind of finds out that even some of the stuff Willem Dafoe was telling him was bullshit.
Yeah, of course.
He was being conned there too.
Yeah, no, I love I love the fact that it reached those heights, like these like mythical heights.
Oh yeah,
while still being like a non-supernatural story.
Oh yeah, it's masterful storytelling right there. Right?
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
it's just a great ass movie. You know.
Yeah, I really loved it.
I highly recommend checking it out. Watch it for yourself. It is phenomenal. But again,
oh, there was one thing I wanted to. Oh yeah. It was just one thing I wanted to bring up.
Sure, go for it.
Which was, there's also a little bit of. There's a little bit of Faust in here as well.
Oh, 100%.
You know, there's a bit of Faust here as well.
Okay, this character is given every opportunity to make the other choice.
Yeah.
You know, there are multiple points where even Lilith gives him the possible choice.
Gives him the out. Yeah.
Gives him the out to the point where she almost lets him hang himself with this whole scenario. Because there's a whole point where it's like, oh, I don't want to take your money. Like I don't want to do this anymore. I'm out.
Yeah.
You know, and he insists.
Yeah.
She convinces him that he convinced her.
Yes.
When actually it's her manipulating him. It's beautiful.
Yeah. It was really good. Well, also there was that feeling like when he is trying to trick the like violent gangster dude.
Oh yeah.
Near the end, there is that moment where where the guy starts to realize that, wait a minute, I'm being conned.
Yeah.
And Bradley Cooper, Stanley, just sort of like, he kind of freaks out. And I found myself going, oh no, you missed the trick, man. That's when you come out and you that's when you have to assume the mantle of the devil.
I am the devil.
I am the devil and I know your sins. It's like, how did you know? I know everything. You know, and then you could have then that guy probably would have just been
would have been amazing.
Holy shit! You know? Then you could have gotten out.
Well, see,
by actually committing to the path.
You see, that's the problem. That's the problem. Bradley Cooper wanted all the benefits of being the devil, but didn't want to be the devil.
Didn't want to be the devil. No. Don't work like
and the
that.
real devil showed him.
Yep. Absolutely.
You know, William Dafoe's words come back to him. He ends up being that geek. He's not the guy controlling the geek.
Yeah. No, you ain't good enough to be the devil.
You know,
you can be the geek. That's
like, he may have killed the mobster guy and the mobster guy's henchman, but like, you know, that meant he was on the run.
Yeah,
got the last laugh.
You just a sideshow kid. You know? Yeah, we're good, kid. Real good. As long as I'm in town, you always be second best.
He even gets to the point where Toni Collette's character, who Toni Collette's also in this movie, and she's great. She's great. Toni Collette was oddly hot in this movie.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I would say, like, I'm so used to her playing like crazy mom and stuff like that.
Yes.
That watching her just be legit hot in this movie was like a
weird just watching her be like whorehouse madam hot.
Yeah. Like she's in this movie too, and there's a point where her character reads him his tarot like halfway through, and he has a point then where he could choose the other path, but instead he decides that he can con the tarot. You know? Yeah,
it's like,
I'll just flip the card.
You can't con fate.
Yep,
don't work like that.
He's been running from fate and his own sins the entire time, and eventually catches up to him.
Yep.
You know? That's why I like the element that he had done something fucked up before he even joined the carnival. Like,
yes,
I like that element because it adds that, like, he's definitely someone who's been spending his whole life running from his fate, and
and then it catches up with him.
The chickens come home to roost, and he's gonna bite their heads off.
Yep.
Any last thoughts on Nightmare Alley?
I really, really, really love this movie.
Me too.
And you know, as I said before, like, hey, if you're gonna try to be the devil, you have to commit yourself to the path of evil. You know, you gotta go all in. If you're like, you know what, maybe I don't want to be all that evil, then don't do it. It's okay. You'll be given many, many opportunities to bow out.
True.
You know, but what was that about pride?
Comes before the fall.
Comes before the fall.
Yep.
You know,
this is very much a classic tale in that regard.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I also love how chaotic the filmmaking gets in the later half when he starts to lose control of his own grift. Like, it's just
well, like there are a lot of times when like the movie does like these weird transitions.
Yeah.
In the second half of the movie, some of the transitions get really odd.
Yeah.
You know, one of those, like, he steps out of a with and then into another room.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, oh, okay, we're here now.
Absolutely. And with that said, where can they find you, Count Jackula?
Oh, you can find me on twitch.tv/Count_Jackula, where I stream twice a week at...
I get it. Happens to me all the time.
That Red Bull.
Red Bull does it.
Yeah.
Gives you gas.
Mm-hmm. Where I stream twice a week on Thursday and Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I also stream randomly during the week. And if you want to know every time that I am streaming, you can follow me on Twitter at CountingJack, where I always put stuff up when I stream. And I will also tweet things on the toilet. I've gone back to retweeting a lot of porn. You know,
sure. You got to go back to your first love.
Gotta go back to my roots.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. And you can also follow me on Instagram at Satanic Jackula. You can follow me there. I also post on Instagram from the toilet. Just whichever one I happen to be when I have an idea. What about you?
Y'all know me, I'm the Horror Guru. You can find me at the Horror Guru on Twitter, on Twitch, on Instagram, and Facebook. Just look up the Horror Guru or Blood Splattered Cinema, and I'll be there. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that notification bell so that you're notified of my videos immediately upon their upload. And if you'd like to help out either of us more directly, then be sure to check out our Patreon pages. And remember, if you decide to go the Patreon route, even $1 a month can go a long way. And with that said, my fellow Gorehounds, what's a good hashtag for this one?
Hashtag don't be the geek.
Don't be the geek. All right. If you made it this far into the vlog, then I want you to comment below. And be sure to comment below using the hashtag don't be the geek. That way Jack knows, that way I know, that way the whole world knows you watched this vlog all the way through. And with that said, my fellow Gorehounds, this is the last vlog for this particular week. And I'll catch you next week. Peace out.
I gotta be honest. Like, I mean, you know, killing an animal with your bare teeth. I mean, that's you know, already kind of grotesque. But the part of it that always like really, really, really bothers me when I think about it is those feathers.
Oh yeah, eating the feathers.
Yeah, just
man,
you know, like that.
Yeah.
Damn.
That does sound fucking nasty.
Yeah, like there's a reason we pull all that shit out before we sell it to people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Pull up a chair,